Go ahead and, are you recording?
I just did.
Oh, okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, anybody that's out there, I'm going to start this meeting like I will every meeting. I've already programmed the space around us and created a sacred, safe environment. So I'm going to hit the bell and we'll do a little invocation and then we'll go into the technical side of everything, okay? All right, so just take a nice deep breath. Another nice deep breath and release. And as I call us all together, I ask that Mother, Father, God, creator of all things, join in this session along with all the ascended masters and archangels of peace and light. Allow us to hear your wisdom and your guidance, drawing us together into the perfect oneness so that we may complete our mission and spread the message for the children of tomorrow. And so it is, and so we are, and so it shall be. Amen. All right, so welcome. I know we don't have a full house, but we have enough, and we have a recording that's going to go up so everybody will learn how to navigate their way through this space. I'm going to go over a couple things first from my end, and then I'm going to turn the video over to Lady Mara. We've already introduced you the last meeting, correct, Lady Tech? Okay. She's our technical expert, and she's also my assistant for when I'm doing the calls, because I want to focus on the energy and the messages coming through and not have to worry about the chat or the audio and that sort of thing. So she's also our go-to person to help us when things don't go right, like me not being able to have my video up. But so going forward, when we meet, I always, like I said in the beginning of this session, I always program our space with, depending on what I get guidance from, a lot of times it's sage and or incense, candles. Sometimes it's Palo Santo. I don't know. Whatever comes through is what I'm guided to bring into the session. And also, I utilize crystals to keep our cyber world, our life in that etheric land, very safe and secure. What I invite you all to do is do the same. So when you have your login, before you log in, just do whatever you would normally do. If you don't have a practice like that, I suggest either messaging us to try to find out how to do one, or just invoke your own protection or space as well. Once you're here in our environment, you are perfectly safe and protected, and our energies become one. What I also do, like in the beginning of the session, I do an invocation to bring us all together. And at the end, I'll do a closing every single time we're together, because we found with our first group, which is basically our beta group of learning how to do this online, that we really do need to close the energy down, because we were all still very connected once we left this cyber world. So we would dream about each other. We'd always be on our mind, like, okay, so something's not right here. Oh, okay, we got to close this down. So you'll find that, and you're still connected energetically. So the connection isn't broken, but at least it's done in a different way, so that you are that one mind, but you're not taking everybody's things with you wherever you go. So is everybody clear about that? Okay, awesome. Yeah, and when I ask a question, usually I'll have a thumbs up or raise your hand, do that kind of thing, because I'm seeing many faces. I don't know if you guys have the gallery view or not, but that's what lets me know that everybody is on the same page that we are on. Okay, so we did the sage and the salting. Like I said before, once I open and close the session, you're always free will. You're always able to invite it all back in, but I do it for the oneness of the entire energy group. Okay, so going forward, you're going to see several things in the course that you're going to want to have. I have need to haves and I have want to haves, like to haves. along the way. So our first document you'll see when we go over it is some course items. A couple of those things, if you want to prepare for it a while, I'm just going to give you visuals. This is one of the books. We don't use this right away, so don't go out and jump and think you have to buy this right away. It's called Awakening the Heroes Within, and it is in one of the course documents, so you don't have to write it down right now if you don't want to. But the woman's name is Carol S. Pearson, and this one is the 12 archetypes to help us find ourselves and transform our world. And again, you're going to be able to go back to this to be able to get this exact thing. But if you can and you're able to get it ahead of time, go ahead and get it. Somebody actually got it for $3.40 on Amazon the other day because it's a very old book we've used since the early 2000s, maybe late 1990s. So you can get used copies. The other book, and I only have it in Spanish because I loaned my copy out, is Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. This is core values for what we teach. Awesome book. I'm sure most of you are already aware of it, but I will refer to that quite often because it's really those four concepts. If we can walk in those four, we call them, when we teach the kids, we call them the four directions. And if we can walk in four directions at once with those four concepts, our life would be a lot better off. So again, that's another thing you're going to want. Obviously, your textbook. You're going to see, did all of you have done the money ceremony, correct? Okay. So when the beta group first started, the night that we did our first lesson, we did this page. You're already done that page, okay? But when you complete lesson 1, for example, on the Zoom call of lesson 2, you're going to need a quarter, or for those of you in other countries, something around the size of the US quarter, to make a circle right next to each one of your lessons. And this particular symbol is the one that you'll get once you're done or past the first lesson. It's our way of activating the energy. They're saying, for those of you who play Monopoly, it's like passing go and collecting $200. You're getting that symbol that will awaken the next lesson. So everything that's on your Book of Wisdom page right now is going to awaken the first lesson, and it's basically telling the energies that you have done what it took to pass that lesson, and you're continuing the process. So every single lesson, you're going to need a circle that size for the lesson you just finished prior to unlocking the next lesson. You guys understand that? Okay. I think I put it in the document, so it's a little bit easier to understand, but I also will have uploaded a photo of the next symbol. So for example, next Wednesday, when your lesson 1 opens up, all of your components are going to be in the Google Class space except for the symbol for lesson 1. That symbol will be located in lesson 2. When you open that, it'll be the first thing you do before you start your lesson 2 reading or your lesson 2 practice. You have to activate your lesson 1. It's basically the stamp of approval. I'm done. I can move on. Okay? The other thing that's going to be necessary, and again, I'm going to turn this over in a moment to Lady Tech, you must all have a Google Gmail account, an email account. So it all has to be like mine is sosophia.west@gmail.com. So we all need a gmail.com email because it makes the navigation with Google Classroom Space so much easier. So every midnight or 12:01 on the Wednesday that a lesson is supposed to hit, it will actually be live for you Eastern Standard Time at 12:01. So if you're anywhere else around the country or around the world, you can always hit it back at 12:01 Eastern Standard Time, and that lesson will open. the Monday prior is when I believe Joseph is going to make the tribute has to be done before then, so that you're on the list, so you open up your next lesson. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far? No? Okay. All right. So Lady Mary, why don't you, I guess, share, I opened up lesson 1 in the new section if you want to go show them that, or you're welcome to go show them the.
Yeah, I'm gonna show, unless there's questions, I'm gonna show them their class space. But what I wanted to do first, especially because this recording will last in perpetuity in your Facebook group, people will be watching this. I want to just go over the use of Zoom. So there's two main tools that we use for this coursework. One is this live tool that in Learning Realms, this is called Synchronous Class. So Zoom is our tool that we use. And if you haven't used it before, each of you in your little screen that shows yourself, you have the ability to mute yourself and unmute yourself in the upper right-hand corner. There's a little box with 3 dots and that's next to it that allows you to do things like rename yourself or hide yourself. And I did want to reiterate for everybody who's doing this, it's Lady Sophia talked during the wand ceremony that it's preferred, if possible, that you have your live video feed showing, because that creates more of a connection. It allows her to more easily connect to each of you as well. Of course, if you can't, you can't. And we've noted too, some people have to work a little bit on the aesthetics of their pictures, because we'll get people who look like this. Sir Dog.
Or like this, a ceiling, you get the ceiling.
Anyway, it's just one of those really nice things that when you go back to watch the recording, it's nice to see everybody's faces. Down at the bottom of the Zoom tool, you also will have the ability to click on the chat box. So if you have a question that comes up in your mind during a live class, you're welcome to type that in. If I'm running the class or someone else is running the class, I monitor that. And when it's appropriate, then I'll interject to Lady Sophia, when there's a pause that she has questions to attend to. You should also.
They can open that up. And see, that's what I do. As soon as I get in, I open it up so that I can see on the corner of my eye the chat rolling. But yet I let Lady Mara run it. But if you all open it up, you can see what your fellow students are talking about as well.
It's a great way to just let her know you have a question or to type a question. You also have the ability at the bottom to raise your hand. So you can use either raise your hand or type in the chat box. We have some people who are very old school who still do this. If you do that, I'll notice that you've done it, but you're going to get more attention actually if you put it in the chat, because then we're going to make sure that we've gotten everybody's questions answered before we end the call, if at all possible. So those are the big parts of this that we need to know. And if at any point in time you need to turn off your video, you're welcome to do that. You'll notice when I turn mine off now, I've put a picture of Archangel Gabriel there just for fun. So that, there we go. Turn it back on.
Do you also want to, I guess everybody else, all of you, it looks like to me, the names are the way they are in Google Classroom, but I do believe a few people have their names different in the Google Class space. If you want to save and keep that anonymity for whatever reason, you're welcome to do that here as well.
We have some people in the other group who actually put their Angel Night code. You're welcome to do that. You don't have to do that. It's just.
I prefer right now for us to keep some sort of name, though, because I know them by heart now since we've been working together for quite a few months. I'd like to get to know the name and the face instead of the code. The code always has to be used when you're doing any correspondence with me, like your essays. You'll be writing an essay at the end of each class, just so that I know that you have gained an understanding from what we've gone over, and that's gauged. So the class code could go there, but here, if you want to keep your name, you can, or you can put your angel name, whatever you are in Facebook land in our group.
You'll notice I just went in and I added my code in front. Again, you don't have to do that, but you could. Yeah, your name will be better because we do know each other by name. So are there any questions about how Zoom works? Is everybody able to get into Zoom easily? and navigate this live tool?
I wanted to bring something up too.
Sophia, we're getting a lot of I'm getting.
I think it's Alexandria. I don't see Alexandria being muted.
Okay, I'll do that.
Maybe that's it. There we go.
There we go.
A word of warning for people who use iPads or mobile devices. We've had some issues with that. So at all costs, when you can get on a computer, it's a lot easier. Even for the Google Class space. Sir Joseph and I were just talking today about the fact that pinned post, I've been getting all these messages from people who can't view the pinned post. What's the post? Where's the post? Because sometimes on mobile device, you can't see the pinned post. You have to consciously make yourself go look for it because it's not as readily available to mobile devices. So just be mindful that I would check all your devices prior to logging in to make sure they work for you.
Well, I will share with you all that the original group was doing all of its work on Facebook, and that was one of the biggest problems, was people were having challenges with knowing what is the content that I'm supposed to be working on right now. Posts would push down because of Google's algorithms, Facebook's algorithms, and we made the decision to go and find another tool that we could use. We're using Google Classrooms because it's free, and also because we're doing some building of small schools, which will likely use Google Classroom. So you guys are actually helping us navigate and practice using the same technologies that we're going to be using for the children of tomorrow. So thank you for that. How many of you have kids that are using Google's tools in their schools at the moment? Anybody? Charlene does. So she knows. I saw that smile that said, you know what we're talking about.
It's not IXL.
She might have that too. Okay, so Sophia, if you're ready, I'm going to screen share and show them what their Google Classroom will look like.
Go ahead.
You're going to be getting an invitation from Lady Sophia. So just give me a thumbs up now if you can see. It says Goodnight University Lessons 1 through 29. Okay. Roya can see it. Alexandria.
I lost my gallery view somehow.
Well, when we're showing a screen, when we're doing screen sharing, you can't see the gallery view.
Okay.
Okay. The main view is now my desktop, which is showing Goodnight University. I'm going to back out of it for just a second to show you that Lady Sophia has 2 classes going now. The Angel Night Master Studies is the original group of 33 students. And you guys have your own new classroom, which is called Goodnight University. None of you are enrolled yet, so there are 0 students. But I'm going to take you for a walk through that. If there are any questions that we can't answer in your space, we'll peek over at what's going on with the other class.
Yeah, I would like to, I think, go ahead and show them that, and then I think we should go in and show them what it will look like, because it gets to be a lot of information as we go along. All of those lessons we'll be building and topics we'll be building too.
Okay, so this is what's called your navigation stream, and up in the left hand at the top where my pointer is circling is the word stream, and it's highlighted underneath. The stream is basically your classroom lessons. So if you think of a traditional classroom, this is kind of like the teacher's lesson plan book or the materials in your desk. The students area is where Lady Sophia will enroll you in class, and you'll be able to see the other students. There's nothing there right now, so we don't really need to look at it. And the About area will have links out to all of your documents as you begin to take the course. And again, there's not going to be anything there right now, so it doesn't make sense to show you that. But you'll see right now that Lady Sophia and myself are listed as your instructors. And I'm just here actually as tech backup. She's doing all of the teaching. On the left-hand side, when you have assignments that are due, they'll be listed here. And this is probably the most important box that says topics. Each time a new lesson is released to you, it will show up here on the left-hand side. And you can actually click on any of these to go to the different lessons. And so you're seeing lesson 1, your first lesson is called Progressive Relaxation. Your second lesson is called RxSite. If I click on lesson 1, it was already up there, but you'll see, come on. Okay, it just disappeared because we actually had that. That's interesting. Okay, maybe it's because it's not due yet. I don't know, but it's still showing here. We'll make sure that it's working for you when you get in there. But what will happen is you will be able to click on it here on the left and bring it up. And this way you can actually go back to any of the lessons. Each time Sophia releases something to you, you will see a little clipboard here. That means that it's an assignment. It will be assigned to you. You can see right now it says 0 done, 0 not done. Pretty soon you will actually see, let's say 20 of you are enrolled in the class, it'll say 20 not done, and that's 20.
I don't think that they get that as a student, do they? I think they might not even see that part. I think that's the back.
You know what? That's our side. You're absolutely right. You will see on yours that it's due.
That's due, right.
Mm-hmm. And maybe what I'll do is maybe I'll log out and show them my view of the other class as a student so that they can see what that looks like. But the most important thing is that you've got a whole bunch of items here that Lady Sophia will give you each week. I shouldn't say week because these are twice a month, right? Or are they doing them
every 2 weeks? Every 2 weeks so far.
Okay. Every 2 weeks, you will see instructions for your lesson. This is a Google Doc. All you have to do is click on it and it will open it up. And they're pretty standard. They follow the same format pretty much. Although, I mean, they could change. But you'll have an assignment to read the lesson. Then you'll come here. This is the first thing you'll do. You'll read through this so that you know what your assignment is. And it will tell you about what you actually have to do and what you have to submit for class. Do you want to talk about any of that, Lady Sophia?
I do see I need to change the date on that one because I must have copied that from the other one. Yeah, so basically, just read it all the way through. Once you get going, you're going to see that for the most part, a lot of the language is exactly the same lesson to lesson, but every once in a while there's something very obscure and different that I want you to do. So you do have to read the entire thing. Can you scroll down?
Mm-hmm.
There's a little thing down here. First of all, the reason I want there to be some continuity with how we do our essays is because I'm at this point right now just viewing 33 lessons every 2 weeks. But after you guys join in the class, we're looking at 53 lessons every 2 weeks. So I like the continuity of the size of the font and the type of font that you use, because it just makes it easier for me to flow through everything instead of having some pink ink one time and blue ink the next time. Just try to keep it all together. So I'm just going to ask that you set your document up to a size 12 font. Your essay should be no less than 250 words and no more than 500. Once we go along in the group and you start to get your groove, I may just remove those two requirements. And I do that just to get a gauge of who you are. I mean, I did have a student not too long ago in the older group that sent me 3 sentences. And I'm like, nope, that's not going to cut it. I can't gauge what you are, and you don't know what you're fully embracing with 3 sentences. They would have to be 3 powerhouse sentences in order for that to be something acceptable. So I made her go back before she could get her symbol for the next lesson. So basically, this is just for continuity's sake. Remember that your lessons and responses are your journal entries. We're all writing our own book. By the time you're done, if you stick with it and go through all 53 lessons, you are going to have an amazing journal of your life over the 53 lesson period. So, which is just absolutely amazing when you go back and see what you've done. I ask in your essay not only to write to me about what the lesson was all about, but something that's happened in your life during that 2-week period. Because, and I may share some of your co-students' writings later on down the road, because you're going to see that we hit this place with our lessons that dovetails perfectly with the world and what the world's going through. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know where the synchronicity comes in, but it's just absolutely fascinating. I've had people say, I went to church and the gospel had exactly what you talked about, or I was watching the news the other day and look what happened. It was exactly what we were talking about. Well, why is that? That's because you're the microcosm of what's happening in the macro. And with both of your groups together, this microcosm that we've created is expanding and the consciousness is expanding. So every thought and everything you do within these lessons is going to have an impact on the world. So with your essay, you're going to document that impact, not only on your personal world, but in the world as a whole. So real important to do your journal, and you'll keep it in your Google Docs, because as soon as you set up a Gmail, if you don't have one already, you'll have a Google Docs folder that you can put all your stuff in. And you can print it out if you want to as well.
So Charlene had a great question for you, Sophia.
Okay.
She said, we're encouraged to begin the lessons before we started with Goodnight University. Should we stop moving forward with the other lessons and only focus on the current lesson?
I would, yes. Yes.
I think part of that was Sir Edward, was never sure how many people were going to actually move forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it is, remember, the book's been published for the world to do the lessons on their own. Okay. And that's the purpose, is to whoever could pick them up to go forward with it. What you're going to find, and, Lady Tech can attest to this, the lesson that gets put out every 2 weeks is the lesson in your book. But all the components that I add to it are things that are channeled just a couple days prior to when the lesson is released. And right now, you all are going to benefit from the fact that you're going to get everything everybody else got, and more than likely some other stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, because whatever comes through, if they don't let me do this ahead of time, like we're on, what are we on, 11, Lady Tech? 10?
Yes. No, we're on 11.
11. So we're on 11. I don't know what 12 is. I haven't even started working on 12. I mean, I know what it is in the book, but it has to be timely with the frequency of the energy that's coming through at the moment. That's why you are going to see slight derivation from time to time with what is in the book. Just like you all have read the book, you know that Sir Edward channeled those, and he was told, you must practice them for 30 days or you don't move on. Well, we've been given permission to amp that up and go every 2 weeks. There was some talk, because of the timeline that's moving forward, of having us do it every week, which I think is a lot, but we'll adjust as we're guided. So long story short, or long answer to make it short, Charlene. Yes, go ahead and stop them, because you can read, you would read them, but in order to practice, I'd like you to fully focus on what you're doing from week to week, or every other week to every other week. Okay.
So referring to practice, that document will tell you what you're supposed to do for practice, all of the activities, but you'll notice I've gone back to your classroom. So once you've looked at that document, then you can also take a look at the other items that Sophia has listed. This second one that says Book of Wisdom, Lesson 1, it's a .m4a. That's an audio file. So one of the things that you can do is listen to. She's recording each of the lessons in her own voice. So you can listen if you're busy and you're in the car, or you're needing to, fit this in your busy life. You can listen to the audio. I like to do it when I'm cooking. I just imagine all of the incredible things that are going into the food that I'm making while I'm listening to these lessons.
Yeah, and Lady Mara, can you scroll down for just this first opening lesson? You're going to see 3 documents that you won't see typically in the other ones. One is the course items, mm-hmm. and that's going to be the suggested, the must-haves. As she's opening that, we'll see what it says. I can't remember it. Okay, so required, obviously, it's the book, okay? The other requirement is a journal, a binder, or you keeping all of your lessons in some sort of computer app to document your journey, okay? The like-haves, you're also going to know that I'm going to suggest a typical stone or crystal of the lesson. During my classes here in person, I was always giving the crystal to the person, so that every student had was on the same board. The reason I do this is because in lesson 34 and 35, or 33 and 34, there are 2 lessons that have a huge list of crystals to obtain. So I like to give you the opportunity to gather them as you're going, so that when you hit that lesson, you're not in a full-on panic mode. Oh my gosh, I got to find all this stuff. And when it comes down to it, you don't have to find any of it. It's just a like to have, and keep them in a box. And you'll see the directions going forward. But it is really nice to do this as an ongoing process. So you're not putting out a lot of money. You know, most of these stones can be had for $2 or $3, rough tumbled little stones. You don't have to put a lot of money out, but it is nice to collect them as you go. And then below, you'll see those 2 links for the, I forgot about the Angel Wisdom one too. There's 3 books. There's the Angel Wisdom book, the 4 Agreements, and the Awakening the Heroes Within, that are books that we refer to a lot. As a matter of fact, that Angel Wisdom book it's basically a daily devotional that has a 1-page, sometimes 1 1/4 page of a meditation or a thought to focus your day on. And we are all using that in a mindful way, where we have a texting thread that gets together and basically says they've read the thread for the day, and it brings us all together. So, and if you guys can acquire that as well, that would be awesome to have it on hand. It also is available as an ebook, which is nice to have, because wherever you are, you can flip it open on your device. Okay, so Lady Mary, I can't move for whatever reason. Let me go back to that other one. Okay, so then you have your class introductions, which you don't have to go into that now, Lady Mary. That's just an overview, and it's a letter from me about your course. So it would kind of be like a welcome to class and course syllabus. So you can read that over at any time. The Getting to Know You is a document that will be an added to document. Go ahead, open that up. Let me see what I put there, Mara. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so the top, you will only see the top part, Getting to Know You. And then this is a shared document, so that you will introduce yourself to your class. Like if I had you all sitting here in a circle right now, I would start and say, Lady Charlene, tell us a little bit about yourself. And then when you were done, then the next person would go around the circle. And that's what this is. It's something maybe you've already said in the Facebook space, but maybe you haven't. But this will bring us together as a group in a different way than just energetically. Okay, so you'll type your thing in there, and then the next person will type theirs. So just know that everybody sees that document.
And we'll be putting a new one up for you.
Yes.
Because this is actually a link to the document of the group that's in the first round of studies.
Yeah, I put that. I wanted them to see what it would actually say. Yeah.
So I think, Sophia, what would really help, if it's okay with you, is I'm going to jump over into the other class, just and show them what it's like for me as a student.
Okay.
And how I go through those lessons.
Okay.
The only thing I'm going to have to do, and you can see, actually, we're not on lesson 11, we're on lesson 10, but you can see that right now it looks very much like yours does, and you can see that there's 33 of us, but I'll have to actually log in as myself. Otherwise, you won't see the student side.
Okay.
But I want them to see what it looks like to be a student. And you will also see that, okay, maybe I can't. Okay. Okay, I guess I can't. Well, let me try one more. There we go.
Sweet.
So as a student in that other class, and I apologize, I have a whole bunch of classes that I'm facilitating and teaching. I'll show you what it looked like for lesson one for me as a student. Looked just like what you had, but you can see at the top now, my lesson has been returned. But you will see that it'll say that it's due. When I click on open, all of those same course items are there. You'll see that I got 100 out of 100 for that assignment, and that's kind of the old school grading system. But basically, Sophia will just mark yours the same way if she has accepted your work is complete. Everybody gets 100 points, so there's no real. She's not going to grade you on this. You're not going to get 70 points out of 100. So it's nothing like school as we used to know it.
Right. Yeah. No, don't fret on grammar, spelling, or anything. It's just basically it's been accepted, and there's really no other way to indicate that except for to give you that mark.
You'll see that we have all of the same kind of documents that you did. You'll notice that the live class that we did is now actually there. And in fact, today, after we finish this, I will put this live class recording at the bottom of your lesson one. So it's really nice. After you've done that lesson, you can go back and watch it again. But I wanted you to also see down at the bottom is a place for me to turn in my work. And when it's time to do that, that 250 to 500 word assignment, I have two ways to submit that to Lady Sophia. I can click on add, and what that lets me do is go out to my desktop and upload a Word document. So if you're somebody who likes to do things offline, this is the way that you do that. So you would type it up in whatever word processing document you have. You would click on this little paper clip that says file. The only reason I'm not going to do it is I have like so much stuff on my desktop right now. It would make you crazy. But you would click on that file and you would choose your file. What I actually recommend that you do is click on create and choose docs, because what it will do for you is create a lesson inside of Google Docs, which you will have this email account, and it will name it for you. And you could see I already had turned it in, but it just made me another one. What I really like about it is it puts my name. That helps Lady Sophia know that it's my assignment, but it also names it for the lesson that we're on. So going back for myself, I'm actually personally not printing out anything for a binder because I keep all of my documents in Google Docs and they're organized that way. And I know I can go in there and do that. When I click on that document, it will give me a blank document where I can type my answer for the lesson.
And then the title is up there. I actually prefer this better than the adding the file because we've run into some issues with people uploading Word docs and something from Pages, and it's the rich text format, the RTF, that for some reason I see that it's there in Google Classroom, but I can't open it. Not always, but I don't know what they're doing differently. So if at all possible, the create button is the preferred method on my end so that I can see it.
And you can actually start working on this at any point in time during that 2-week cycle. You don't click this turn it in button now until you're all finished and you want Lady Sophia to read it. It will actually just be saved live as you're working on it. So if I type in, just some letters of the alphabet, they're going to actually be saved. It's saying saving. So I can go back out and actually I'll close that document out. If I were to go back into that second document again, you'll see that ABC that I was typing is saved there. It should be there. Yeah, it's there. When I'm all finished, I will click turn it in. I'm going to do that, and Sophia, you're going to get a notification that I've turned in this old lesson. But it will send her an email telling her I'm done. And so obviously we only want to do that when we're done, because every time we hit turn it in or resubmit, she's going to get an email. So you can imagine what that's like she'll now have 53 students. So we want to keep her life nice and tidy.
And you will get an email from me and it'll say your work has been returned. And when you see that doesn't, just look it over. Basically, everybody gets that. And I said, ever since November, there's only been one person that I've returned the work without 100. And that was the one I just talked to you about with the 3 sentences. So when it says returned and it says 100 over 100, you're done. It means I've got it. You've passed go. We're moving on.
It's different than traditional school because you're not going to be you're not putting editing or comment notes on these documents, except when somebody needs to do something different. So really, this is just accountability that you are doing these lessons each week.
I do actually, from time to time. Can you scroll down?
Mm-hmm.
See the private comment there down by her picture? Okay. Sometimes you can write me and I can write you there. There are times that I have talked to people through there about your lesson, and there have been some pretty profound writings at times where I'm guided to say, I've got to work on that document. So I will make notes, but I don't know from my end, Mara, would they get a note saying that I made notes?
They will. But the good news is this is private. Each one of the lessons themselves, now I'm going to go back out and you'll see if you had any questions about the lesson each week, you can actually make comments below the lesson itself. So I was doing all of that work that I just showed you inside of the lesson by clicking open. But down at the bottom, you can see here, actually, Lady Lane said, wow, this is amazing. So she was making comments that everybody could hear.
Yeah. So
but if you wanted to do a private one, you would do it inside of your lesson.
Yeah. So that one, the whole class space.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
The only other thing that would be useful for you to see is each time we add a lesson in, it ends up here listed on the side, and we have one of these funny, quirky things that I have to deal with soon about Google Classrooms, is it orders everything numerically and alphabetically. So we were putting everything listed as lesson 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. And when we got to 10, it's reordering it this way. So we'll fix that for you. But they'll end up, you'll see your lessons will come in and they won't show up until it's time for that lesson to be started on. So we don't have our 26 lessons here yet.
No. 29. 29. Yeah.
Excuse me. They'll be, and that's partly because she's still creating them.
So, does anybody have any questions?
Okay, I'm going to quit sharing just for the moment, unless we need.
I think we got the whole, let's see, do I have speaker view? I don't know how to, gallery view. There we go. Okay. So we covered the Gmail. That was an important one. You covered the Zoom. I think we've got it all. Does anybody have any questions I'm sure questions are going to rise, which isn't a problem. We'll take them as they come, but is there anything glaring standing out in your mind that you want to?
Charlene asked, she said she didn't see how to raise her hand. And Charlene, it should be down in the very bottom of the Zoom screen. I don't have it because I'm moderating the class. So Sophia,
I don't see it either.
You don't have a hand raised there?
No.
Okay. Sometimes it does show that. I don't know why, but
okay. So if you hit participants, then it says there's 9 participants. It lists them. It says mute me or raise hand. Let's try that. What happens when we raise the hand?
You'll see it in their window.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, it's in your upper left-hand window, Sophia. There's a little.
Oh, there we go.
That's awesome. And there we go. And then me as the moderator, Charlene, once you've answered or Lady Sophia, I'll click on lower your hand.
Okay.
And it goes away.
Perfect.
And I know Lady Charlene's hand is still up. That's a good reminder to us to make sure that we attend to your questions. So that's actually a really great thing to use during the live class, because sometimes it gets really busy.
Well, and that's why I kind of like this, because I can see your movement instead of just the text, because if I'm talking to somebody, I'm going to look at them wherever they are on the gallery, and I might not see anybody. And so that's why Lady Tech plays such a huge role for me, because she's monitoring that all the time. And that way we're not missing anyone. At least I don't think we have. I think we've done a pretty good job with that. The chat is the fail safe, because we can always go through and find out what your questions are and then address them in order, because sometimes there's a lot of hands that go up all at once.
If we get to that point at some point, if these two groups merge together for the live class, I've actually been part of a very large call like this, and we can institute a protocol that says something like, if you want to raise your hand, you have a question, we'll type that in, and then we'll take them in the order that we get them in the time that we have available.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what we're doing. That's the piece I forgot. You have your own classroom space in Google, like you saw, and they have their own, only because you're at different places along the spectrum. But it is our intention to, I believe we voted on this, and correct me if I'm wrong, to have an 1.5 hour long Zoom call where the first half hour is dedicated to you. You're all welcome the entire 1.5 hours, but the first half an hour will be dedicated to your group and the current lesson. The second half an hour is going to be a free-for-all, whatever has come up in the world. At least this is the intention. I mean, remember, everything is channeled and it's a momentary thing, so who knows what's going to happen. But the intention is this, that it'll be everybody asking questions and merging together. And then the last half an hour, again, which you're all welcome to stay for, we will concentrate on whatever lesson the other group is in. So that you're going to get the benefit of so much, not only one another, but they're going to learn from your questions. They'll be helping teach you. They're going to say, somebody in another class may have the exact issue that you're going through. So we're going to help the two of you talk that through. And then you're going to have the benefit of getting the insight of their whatever lesson they're on, so that it's in your psyche as you're moving forward. So it's kind of like you're getting 2 for 1 in a way, not that you have to practice and have to read it, but you're going to be exposed to it. So it'll stay on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday, and Mara and I will be adjusting. We'll decide what time. I think we'll probably go to a 4:30, right? Is that correct?
That would be my preference. And a lot of it actually has to do, we have some people in New Zealand who I know drop off. Yeah. When we hit 6 o'clock, they're gone, because I don't even know what time it is in the morning for them. And so that sort of between 4 and 6 p.m., although it doesn't work for all of us who work in the United States, it is almost the only way to get everybody together globally.
Yeah, we've tried different times, and it's just, there's really no really great time. There's just a good time, and that's why we record it. I mean, we've had the people from New Zealand and from the UK just stay up, in Finland just stay up, and they're in their jammies and they're in bed, but they're there with us. So it's all good. Okay, so I think I covered it now. That was the last thing, wasn't it? The Zoom call.
Well, let's ask Charlene, do you have a question before I lower your hand?
Thank you. Yes, I just typed it, actually. So what I've heard is that other people have been reading lessons ahead. I had been staying put until I could feel like I grasped the lesson. But when I hear what you just offered, Lady Sophia, where we'll be hearing ahead, would it be helpful to us to read ahead into the other lessons, not just study them, but exposure?
Do whatever your guidance is telling you. Okay. I don't want anyone just too overwhelmed. I think that, remember, 90% of it is what's you're feeling. The reading is just the icing on the cake. Your impression in your brain, it's all being typed into that computer inside as you read. I think when the time hits and it's time for you to read that section, you need to read it. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we read a lesson for 7 days straight. Mm-hmm. And or listen to it for 7 days straight. And then that second 7-day period, you're practicing it. It doesn't mean you still can't read it and practice. I'm trying to find a balance between overburdening people, because many people are juggling, their lives at work and their kids and extended families and community. So everybody has a varying degree of how much time they can commit. I would do this. Get out of your own way and don't overthink it. Okay. Sometimes when we overthink it, we're just piling more stuff on it. Okay. I would just come in with that face of newness and do lesson 1 with us, be exposed to lesson 10. And then when you're exposed to it, let it sink in and go, well, wow, I wonder if I should go read that. And you'll hear whether you should go read it. But practicing 2 at once, that's not advisable. Okay. You know, when we get, because remember, it's the building blocks. So it's like me giving you a bunch of brick pavers and you're building your foundation, and all of a sudden you want to stick something up here. There's nothing there to hold on to it. Okay? Except you are absorbing the consciousness, and that's really the most important thing.
When we talked about this in our live class last week, I kept hearing that we're probably going to find that there's really common threads between both groups, that the lessons aren't going to matter as much as what we're actually going through globally and how we're responding to those based on the things that we're learning. So I think that we're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Right. And we're all going to get out of our comfort zone. Okay. Because remember the old statement, when you think you know, you don't, you know, you don't, you do. There's going to be a set doctrine that we follow. And then I'm going to say, whoop, rip it out and throw it out the door. You know, it's not going to apply. And why? Well, because they said it doesn't apply. So just be open to change. Like Archangel Michael has always said, you know, every time something has shifted here, the only thing on this planet that does not change is the fact that everything changes. Everything. So there is no, I think I know this is the way it should be. As soon as you think it should be a certain way, it's not going to be. You know, so just go with the flow. Enjoy the process. It's going to be a blast. We've had some just amazing, amazing experiences, and I think you all will be very, very thrilled with what you feel and what's coming through you as well. Okay. Any other questions before we go?
Lady Madeline has her hand up.
Yep. There you go.
Am I live now? Can you speak?
Yeah.
Who do we contact when we have difficulties understanding the how to use the Google Classroom beforehand? If you have just you. No, I mean, you know, before we start in classes, or you know, that's got me a little bit nervous because I don't even have a computer. Mine is.
What are you working on right now?
On the phone.
On the phone. Okay. You can do it. A lot of people do it. It blows me away that they're doing it on the phone, but you can do it on the phone. It's just be mindful when you are doing it on the phone that you're clicking every little button to see what could this button do for me, because if not, you might be missing something. The other thing is, and I want to make this perfectly clear, I'm not a henchman with an axe hanging over your head if you don't do something right. I am very open to life and life issues. So please have no problem contacting me if your car ran out of gas and you couldn't get home to hit the button for the lesson to be due, or somebody's sick or something happened in your life. Don't panic. Don't think that it's over for you. Just please let me know. Just don't drop off the map, because if I don't know and you don't contact me, I don't know what's going on, which, you know, has happened. I mean, I've reached out to people going, you know, I haven't gotten your lesson. It's 2 days late. What's going on? Do you really want to leave? And that's cool. Or did something happen and you were afraid to say something? Please don't be afraid. This is not that kind of a situation. We're here to help each other. And I am here in service to you. So don't ever worry, please. The most thing I don't want you to do is worry. This is not life-threatening, but yet it is it's a serious endeavor. It's a commitment. But please don't worry.
Lady Madeline, I'll show you. I have the app on my iPhone. let's see. And I wish I had a way to screen share it, but I don't. It doesn't look that much different. And if you can actually do your work in the Google Doc itself, you're going to be so much happier. Using that. If you try to do it using, some other kind of application, that'll be harder. But there is an app for Google Classrooms, which you can put on your phone.
And Google Docs has an app. I mean, anything that Google has in that classroom space, you can download the app for. And Mara, I'm pretty sure in the first class pod you did a tutorial video. We can actually add that too.
We can, except I just did it with you live
I know.
Purposely, because it's much more personalized this way.
Okay.
Because you got to see and I will do it. We can move that over, but this was so much better because we actually had lessons populated and you could see them.
Well, and actually the tutorial that she did happened after we started because we run
People
into
were having problems.
problems. Problems are a way of life. And remember, that's what we're here to do. We're problem solvers. So mark and remember these words. There's no problem too big or too small that we can't deal with. Just stay in contact. Conversation, communication is key here. So whether it's by my email, you'll get an invitation code to the class soon. And as soon as you get that invitation to the code, you'll get my email. You also can iMessage me through Facebook. But just don't assume that we know what's going on or that the worst case scenario. So it's all good.
Yeah, immediate questions are best posted in the class itself or in your question and answer area in Goodnight University. That's a really good place to post things. But if it's more urgent, you can text Lady Sophia. You can also text me because I'm in Goodnight University with you guys as well. Although I'm under my personal name, Mara Leineberger, so you can find me that way.
Well, if it's about the class, I don't go into the Facebook very much because I'm writing the second book as well as doing these lessons. So I'm not in there as much as I could be or should be. I'm trying, but if you have a question for me, I would prefer it to come through iMessage or my email or the class space itself instead of Facebook.
I think they all understand at this point that this is mainly the way that Sir Edward and Joseph Worker and Sir Gary are finding additional people who are ready to take up these lessons. And Sophia's main task at the moment, besides lots of other things like running the entire castle, are to get the second book done and to be doing this very direct learning of the lessons.
Right. Yeah. So you'll all still be required at some level to interact in Facebook because you are going to be the teachers and the new promoters, the people that will help guide and shed the light on the people who are coming in. You've seen it in action. You've been in the group. You know how the egos rise and the egos fall, and you've all interacted with those people and helped them along so far. So that'll still be a part of your work, but the lesson space is here, and this is ultimately the arrival zone for people. Okay? But not the ultimate end. All right, so anything else, Lady Mara? I think I got it all on my end. I got my list checked off. Anybody else last minute question? No? Yes. Charlene.
Thank you. So to be clear, are we going to have a phone call every week or every other week? Okay, so the recording will come from that and it'll be posted in our Google Classroom, correct?
Right. So this Zoom call will go into lesson 1.
Right.
And when we meet for the end of when you're done your lesson 1, that'll also be posted in lesson 1 and so on. So, and Mara will post on the topic side, on the side, she'll post a place for the Zoom link. So that same link for every single Wednesday will be right there.
Okay.
Okay. And this will not be posted in Facebook. This will only be posted in the Google Classroom.
Okay. And I'm sorry, follow up to that question, which is where the confusion is coming from, is do we have a time blocked for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Currently it's 5 to 6, but we're moving it from 4:30 to 6. So 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every other Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not like the first and third Wednesday. It's just literally going to be every 14 days at midnight that night, that Wednesday, that midnight morning, as soon as it turns Wednesday on Eastern Standard Time, the lesson will be released. And that evening, starting at 4:30 to 6, will be when you meet.
Thank you.
And there's no requirement that you have to do that because it will be recorded. Okay?
Yeah.
That it? All righty, ladies. It was nice speaking with you. I'm going to go ahead and close out the meeting energetically. So just sit back and take a couple nice deep breaths. I'm going to send out a spritz of some of the Blue Magi oil. And you may feel a torus of energy come up through your center core. So another nice deep breath. And release. One more nice deep breath right from deep down inside of your lungs. And let it go whenever you're ready. And I now want to thank Mother, Father, God, Creator of all things, all ascended masters and archangels of peace and light, for guiding us, for being here, for holding sacred space. We are forever in your debt and grateful for this time that you've spent with us. Continue to guide us. Continue to allow us to hear the clarity of the message you send. And until next time, and so it is, and so we are, and so it shall be. Aho. Thank you. Namaste. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you, Lady Mara.